I think number one is they gotta want it the most, for sure. And then number two is being coachable. You got to be coachable and take that constructive criticism and not look at it as, hey, he's always picking at me. No, he wants me to be great. And so the two things for sure is having a love to compete and love for that sport and wanting to be better every single day and then just being coachable.
Join us on the next Recruiting from the Bleachers for a 3-part series as we talk to Coach Micah Kurtz, president of the legendary basketball powerhouse, Oak Hill Academy. Welcome back to Recruiting from the Bleachers. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and today we are joined by one of the greats. I call him Coach Micah Kurtz because I've known him for over a decade now. I had the opportunity to meet him at one of the local high schools here in South Carolina, and he actually helped train my daughter. But Coach Micah Kurtz is currently the president, and I guess I should call him President Micah Kurtz, of Oak Hill Academy, one of the most respected basketball institutions in the country. And before taking on that role, he served as the Assistant Director of Strength and Conditioning at the University of South Carolina, working with elite collegiate athletes across multiple sports. Many parents and athletes here in South Carolina also know him at his time at AC Flora High School, where he helped build championship-level teams and was named the National Strength Coach of the Year. Very proud of him for that. Micah's career has been defined by developing young people, building winning cultures, and preparing athletes for the next level. So today on Recruiting from the Bleachers, please help me welcome our illustrious guest, the current president of Oak Hill Academy, Micah Kurtz.
I appreciate that. That was too kind of an intro for sure. And so I appreciate that. It's great to reconnect with you. And I'll tell you what, I think coach is probably my second favorite title now that I'm a young dad. Dad's number one and coach is number two. So you can always call me coach. I'd much rather be called coach than Mr. Kurtz or President Kurtz for sure. But
that's great, man.
Awesome. Great to have you. Great to be on here.
Thank you so much. And I truly appreciate your time. And I wanted to ask this one question before we really jump into to get more in depth. You've been doing this a long time, and I wanted to ask the question because I've worked with children for a long time as well. What drives you and motivates you to continue to work with teenagers?
Good question. I mean, I've talked about my time at AC Flora. So I was at South Carolina, got offered that position at AC Flora to kind of start the school's first ever strength and conditioning program. And talked to my boss at South Carolina at the time, Billy Anderson. My plan was to be a college and maybe professional strength coach in the future, and was like, hey, got this job offer for a high school position. It wasn't really what my plan was. And he said, hey, like, it sounds like an amazing position. You can create your own program. You're going to get paid. Strength coaches don't get paid great. You're going to get paid pretty decent compared to a lot of starting college positions. He's like, you got these connections. You can always go back to college and use those connections. And so I thought I'd be at AC Flora for a year or two, and ended up being there for 10 years. And it was an amazing experience. And really, that's where I fell in love with being at the high school and youth sports level, and was there for 10 years and took a job at Windermere Prep, was there for 6 years, and now in my second year at Oak Hill. And I think there's really no bigger impact than you can make at the high school and even the middle school level. And then being a strength coach, I think the impact that you can have is second to none, because really our only job is to maximize their potential. And if they do a good job in their sport and have been very involved in the weight room, sometimes I got a little more credit than I might have deserved. And then if they didn't do a great job, a lot of times their first response from them and their parents were like, well, you got to get back with Coach Kurtz and be in the weight room more. So we're around them all year round, and the impact that you can have is crazy. And so like at AC Flora, as I was there, was able to expand our program down to the middle school level. And so for some of those kids, I was able to work with them for 6-7 years. And I mean, the impact that you can have is tremendous, and it can be a positive impact or a negative impact. And that's something that I think about every single day, every night before I go to bed. I mean, I want to make a positive impact on these kids' lives. I think we all can remember coaches when we were growing up that some of them had an amazing, great impact on us. And some of us, then we look back and we were like, I don't want anything to do with that coach. So that's definitely something that shaped me as a coach. And it definitely shapes me as the leader here as Oak Hill, as I want to give these young people every tool to succeed in life, for sure.
That's phenomenal, Coach. And I can only say that we're truly grateful for you taking the time to work with teenagers, because we know it's challenging today. You, as a young father, you know how that teenage mind or that young mind thinks. And, you know, sometimes for a teenager, they don't always think straight. So we appreciate you being patient and working with our teenagers and to help make us a better society and a better people, not just in athletics, but better people overall. And I want to ask you this, from your experience developing athletes at every level, from high school, prep school, college, what are the top qualities that college coaches look for beyond just raw talent?
Yeah, I mean, I would say number one is they gotta want it more than their parents or the coach wants it for them. You gotta be somebody that loves the game and loves to compete and wants to be the best at getting better. And so that's what I loved when I was coaching. If there was a kid that was like, "Hey, coach, I want to get extra work in on Saturday," or "Hey, can you send me a workout home to do?" Like, I was 100% ready to do that, because that showed that they're not just showing up because their parents want them to be there. They're not just showing up because it's a mandatory training session. So I think number one is they got to want it. And then number two is being coachable. You got to be able to be coachable and take that constructive criticism and not look at it as, hey, he's always picking at me. No, he wants me to be great. And so the two things for sure is just having a love to compete and love for that sport, and then wanting to get better every single day, and then just being coachable.
You have to have motivation. And we've had other coaches on this platform to say this exact same thing, that the children, the teenagers have to have that desire. That's something that a parent can't give you. You have to have that internal desire to make it happen. And it's no better feeling in the world for your teenage or a student athlete to get up and want to go to practice or want to work out. So those are great points there.
I think it reminds me, I just saw a little clip of Steph Curry talking about when he was growing up, and he's like, yeah, my dad played in the NBA. I had access to any gym I wanted to, but
that's right.
I wanted to be in there. My dad wasn't taking me in there. I was waking up in the morning and saying, "Dad, let's go to the gym." And so I think that's something that obviously separates people, and one of the many reasons that's made Steph Curry one of the greatest of all time.
Exactly. How early should parents and student athletes realistically begin preparing for the recruiting process if they want to play whatever sport it is, but whether it's basketball, football, whatever that is? And what should those early steps look like in preparing for that recruiting process?
Preparing for the recruiting process starts very young. It's not where you're really reaching out to colleges, but just training like you want to play a college sport or potentially be a future professional athlete. And so I'm a strength and conditioning coach, been a strength and conditioning coach. I'm a big proponent of that for sure. And so I think you can start teaching your kids to train like a college athlete very young. I mean, even from a strength and conditioning perspective, 10, 11 years old, just teaching them proper fundamental movement patterns, teaching them how to jump and land properly, how to run properly, how to stop and decelerate properly. And so I don't know if that would be something you actually think about preparing for the recruiting process, but it's preparing to train like an elite level player. And then we talked briefly before the show about social media, and there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons for social media, but I think it can be very tastefully done, and starting in, say, even in middle school, where getting a social media presence and an online presence. I mean, I think we've seen a lot of ones that are parent run that are very over the top. And I don't think that's the way to go, but there's definitely should be ways to get some exposure out there and just showing, hey, I'm playing for 13U baseball team and went 2 for 3 this weekend, and having my stats and my contact info up there. And so I think there's a fine line on that, but I think it's definitely, social media is huge, but it needs to be done well. And I think one of the things that I think back on I think it was my first year at Windermere Prep, I had a female student. She was 7th grade with our middle school group training, and I would be posting clips of workouts, and she was a great athlete, and just posted clips of like her sprint and decelerating in the group. It wasn't even just her in the group, sprint and decelerate, her broad jump, and I mean she stood out from everybody. Her mom reposted it. And one of her mom's friends had a friend that was a coach at Purdue, and like showed it to them, and like they started following her in 7th and 8th grade because of that. So I mean, there's definitely ways to use social media for your advantage. I'm not saying that you should be having one of those parent run accounts that have over the top clips of their kids training, but I think you can start in middle school with strength and conditioning, with starting to get some exposure on social media, or getting an online presence on social media, and then just being in the gym and training and competing for sure. So I think it starts early, and then from the actual recruiting process, I mean, I would say start going to some college camps, end of 10th grade year,
right,
end of 11th grade year, and stuff like that.
That wraps up another episode of Recruiting from the Bleachers. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and I appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to join us next week for another insightful conversation. Stay connected with us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube at Recruiting from the Bleachers. Like, share, and follow to keep up with the latest updates. And don't hesitate to leave your comments and questions. We'd love to hear from you. For a deeper dive into the basketball recruiting process, check out our book, Basketball Recruiting, A Parent's Perspective, available now on Amazon.com. Parents, remember, from the bleachers to the big leagues to the boardroom, let's keep cheering and steering our student athletes towards success. We'll see you next time.